Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another session of SteelMint Engage 4.0, a 5-day webinar series covering a gamut of topics relating to coal, iron ore, steel, scrap, ferroalloys, non-ferrous metals, and stainless steel. Today is the second day of the webinar series, and this session will be focused on the manganese alloys market. I'm Lalita, editorial analyst, SteelMint, and your host for this session. With me is my co-host Rahul Roshan, analyst ferroalloys. Hi Rahul.
Hello Lalita.
I want to thank the Indian Steel Association for extending support to Engage 4.2. Today's topic of discussion is impact of power prices and duties on the manganese alloys market. We'll focus on the challenges faced by the Indian manganese alloys industry because of high energy costs and the unavailability of high-grade manganese ore and its impact on production and prices. To comprehensively address these pressing issues, we have the privilege of hosting two distinguished experts who will generously share their valuable insights and expertise on the dynamics of power prices and tax duties, shedding light on their influence on the manganese alloys industry. I welcome our first speaker, Mr. Mahesh Chandra Kayal, Director of Motex India, a 4-star export house recognized by the Government of India and amongst the top 100 exporters of the country. Mr. Kayal was the National Vice President of the Federation of Indian Export Organization. He also holds several key positions such as in the Engineering Export Promotion Council and is the Chairman of the Council for Foreign Trade, Merchants Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Kolkata. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Lalita.
The other expert on the panel today is Mr. Ravi Seth. He is Assistant Vice President Business Development at the Indian Energy Exchange. He has rich work experience of over 15 years in power portfolio optimization, sale and purchase, trading, demand and supply forecasting, equity investment, regulatory matters, etc. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
I'm sure that our viewers will get a lot to learn from this webinar. We'll also take the audience questions at the end of the panel discussion. So please drop your questions in the chat box. Do mention your name and the company name with the question. Thank you. Now, my co-host Rahul will start this session by giving a brief overview of the manganese alloys market. Over to you, Rahul.
Thank you, Lalita. Here I'm sharing a brief of the Indian manganese alloys market. The country's manganese alloys market has been grappling with the multiple obstacles, hindering its growth and competitiveness. Prevailing weak demand and bearish market sentiments have had a significant impact on prices over the past 6 months. Moreover, an additional challenge has emerged in the form of rising power prices, further weighing on the manganese alloys market. Coming to the silicomanganese, India's domestic silicomanganese prices for 6014 grade have dropped around 6 to 7% from 12th April 2023. Meanwhile, export price of silicomanganese for the same grade dropped by around 9% from 12th April 2023. That's all was all I had to share from my end. Now I would like to invite Mr. Kayal to kickstart the session with his presentation. Over to you, Mr. Kayal.
Thank you. So before I begin, I'd just like to make a small brief introduction to the Motex Group. Motex Group is one of the largest exporters of ferroalloys from India. Motex India, the premier company of the group, has been assigned 4-star export house by Government of India and is among the top 100 exporters of the country. Motex deals mainly in the bulk ferroalloys, namely silicomanganese, ferrochrome, ferromanganese, and ferrosilicon. Motex also specializes in shipments by bulk vessels. Premium Ferromet and Motex India Private Limited, another 2 group companies, has also been assigned to a 2-star export house by Government of India and are also engaged in export of ferroalloys from India. Motex India is going soon to be assigned with a 5-star export house status by government, and perhaps that will be the first ferroalloys company in India to be awarded.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Your screen is not visible.
But I could see. Is it there now?
No, sir. Would you like me to
Yeah, please.
run the presentation?
Yeah, please,
Okay,
you
okay.
carry on. You
Just hold a second. Is it visible now, sir?
Okay. But I cannot move the screen. You have to move the screen.
Sir, let me
Yeah.
know, like, to change the screen.
Yeah, yeah.
You have,
Yeah.
you can
Please,
see.
please.
Tell me.
Yeah, next. So perhaps Motex India is going to be the first company in India and from the ferroalloy sector to be assigned a 5-star export house status. Next, please.
Yes.
India happens to be one of the leading player in the export of the ferroalloys. If you see in 2017, the global import of the ferroalloy was at $29.26 billion, and India's share was $2.22 billion. And in 2021, the global import reached to 44.27, and India's export also reached to $3.16 billion. India's shares in the total global import of ferroalloys in 2017 was 7.58%, which went down to 6.57, 6.07, and 5.67 in 2020, but raised again to 7.13% in 2021. So India is retaining, gained back its share in the global ferroalloys market. Next. South Africa leads to be the largest exporter of $4.19 billion, and India is at number 3 position with $3.6 billion in the export of total ferroalloys to the global market. Next. China happens to be the largest market for the Indian ferroalloys with $443 million, followed by UAE at $277 million, Japan at $267 million, Italy at $260 million, and Taiwan at $220 million. Next. If you come to the breakup of the exports of the ferroalloys, in 2021, the export of ferromanganese was $250 million, which raised to $707 million, but came down to $539 million in 2023. So 21-22, though overall India's exports in terms of the volumes has gone up, and that continues to be in 22-23 also. But 21-22, we witnessed sharp growth in the export volume values because of the very high prices of the ferroalloy, which has undergone the correction in the second quarter of the 22-23 financial year. So over 21-22, there is a decline of 24% in export of ferromanganese. But if we compare with 2021, still we are at a 100% growth of in the export of the ferromanganese. Same is the case of ferrosilicon, has really witnessed a sharp growth from $50 million to $70 million. That is a quite significant growth in the exports of ferrosilicon. With quite a few companies. Earlier, we used to have only manufacturing in Northeast, but now some companies have started making in southern India also, which has contributed to the rise in the export of ferrosilicon. Silico manganese, which happens to be the largest chunk of the basket. So from $680 million, we have witnessed $1,522 million, which came down to $1,467 million, just a drop of 4% over 21-22. But considering the drop in the prices of the silico manganese in the 22-23, still I will rate it as a positive growth, because the growth is there in terms of the volume, not in the terms of value, but in terms of the volume. So it is the volume which matters more than the value. So ferrochrome India, we know the ferrochrome India is always a leading player, and from $670 million, it went to 2013, again $990 million, 2% decline. So I don't consider again it a fall in the exports. Next. Again, this is, if you see, the China continues to be the top destination for us with $412 million. UAE is again the same position, 363. Italy has taken over from the Japan and came to number 3 at $270 million. Japan has $245 million. Bangladesh, although is a good market, but because of the regulatory duty, safeguard duty there to protect there's a one manufacturing unit in whole Bangladesh. So for that, there is a regulatory duty. So Indian export to Bangladesh is subject to the regulatory duty, which is very high. So it's not very viable, but still some quantity is going. And Saudi Arabia is also again 10% down. So, and China has got a 12% share of total India's exports. And most of them is the ferrochrome only. So that is quite significant. And UAE has got a mixed basket of basically mainly of the silico-manganese alloys. Next. Ferroalloy being a power-intensive industry and power constituting major part of the production cost. Rising power cost is a big challenge. Major rate price hike has been witnessed in the current financial year. This needs to be taken care and reviewed by the government. There is a wide gap in the cost of power generation and the distribution. So this is very point to be noted. There is a gap between the cost of the power generation and the cost at which the power is supplied to the industry. Rate at which NTPC supplies the power to the state and rate at which power is supplied to the industry can give the clear picture of the gap. It's quite big. It's loaded with the social subsidies. There is a huge electricity duty also imposed by different state governments, which varies from 5% to 20%. As we all know that the cost of the electricity is depending on many external factors. And Mr. Ravi will be more in a better position to speak about the power, all the parameters which leads to the fluctuation in the power cost, mainly because of the coal prices. So the government, when ultimate objective is that revenue can come if the industry is performing. Simply raising the rates of the duties will not help in the long term. So the government should always balance the cost of the power and the rate of duty. If the power costs are high, the rate of duty should be lowered down. Rather, instead of the on the rate, it should be on a fixed rate like 10 paisa, 20 paisa, or 50 paisa instead of going on the percentage. So that is one thing the government should look into. Now we see as you know, India is I've already said India is a leading global player of the ferroalloys, and our installed capacity of the ferroalloys is based on the global market, and it is an export-oriented sector. So now there is when we are exporting the goods out of the country, we are exporting the taxes also. There is a very global concept that the goods should be exported, not the taxes. So if you remember earlier, we had the MEIS scheme wherein 2% subsidies was given by the government to the exports. In ferroalloys are entitled for 2% subsidy, and which was challenged in the WTO. The government all along have been fighting and expressing that it is not a subsidy. And anyway, finally, the government withdrew the MEIS scheme and introduced the RoDTEP, the scheme to provide offsetting of unrebated taxes of electricity duty, VAT on petroleum products, mining duty less, as mining duty says royalty, then other embedded taxes through the remission of duties and taxes on export product, RoDTEP. The scheme is not applicable to the ferroalloy sector because of certain constraints. The government, though the policy, the RoDTEP scheme says that it is applicable for all the products, but because of the certain financial constraint, the government has extended the benefit to certain sectors. Rather, I would say a few sectors have been left out, wherein the impact of the RoDTEP was higher. So they have been left out, and the ferroalloy is certainly one of the sector which is not eligible for the RoDTEP benefit. Ferrochrome has impact of about 12% of the RoDTEP. So means, let us be very clear, when we are exporting ferrochrome from India at whatever the price, it includes 12% of the duties and taxes. A manufacturer has paid several duties and taxes for which input credit was not available. So that has been added to the cost of product. So if the 12% was that rate for which the data was submitted by the industry, so well, evaluation may bring it down by 1%, 2%, 3%. So still we can say very comfortably that 8 to 10% or 9% is the impact of the duties and taxes. Manganese alloy is also about 4%. So as I said, the road tax is not a subsidy, but it is the refund of the unrepeated and embedded duties and taxes. And there's many government abroad had got such schemes in offering. So India is not the first to introduce. Many countries are doing it, and India simply followed it. And it is a WTO compliant process because we are simply refunding the unrebated duties and taxes, and it's not a subsidy. Next. And our appeal to the government is road tax benefits should be made available for ferroalloy under Chapter 7202. Refund of electricity duty on actual quantity of ferroalloy exported. We are not seeking the blanket exemption of the electricity duty to the ferroalloy sector, but only the ferroalloy which is being exported out of the country, at least to that extent, if the state, because the electricity duty is again the state government revenue. So the central government has no role and say over it. So state government has to formulate their export policy and allow and permit the rebate and refund of the electricity duty portion on the goods exported out of their units in their states. Interest equalization scheme is there, wherein the 3% of the 3% interest equalization subsidy is being given to the merchant exporters and 2% to the 3% to manufacturer exporter and 2% to the merchant exporter. But unfortunately, ferroalloy is again out of that purview, and it is not available. So the interest equalization should be extended to all categories of the exporters of the ferroalloy. Next. See, this is it showing you the amount of the export subsidies that were being granted over the periods, over the decades, I would say. It used to be, say, 30%, then it came down, focus put at 4% in 2009 to 15. From 15 to 20, we had 2% MES, as I was saying now. And road tax, which has come from January 21. So there is a nil in benefit to the ferroalloy sector. Next. India is having a free trade agreement and the most favored nation arrangement with many countries abroad. And under such arrangement, the import and exports between these two countries are subject to the either reduced rate of duty or nil rate of duty. So in case of the ferroalloy, like if you see, Vietnam has got a 5% duty on ferromanganese, ferrosilicon, and silicomanganese, but for the Indian product, it is zero, nil. Similarly, Japan has got duty varying from 2.5% to 6%, but Indian product is having a nil duty. South Korea, again, 1.5% to 5% for India, nil. And for UAE, 5% was the flat duty on all ferroalloy, but for the Indian product, it is nil. So this is the advantage we get under the FTA. The UAE is the last and the latest this FTA signed by the government, and then thereafter we had Australia also. The government is in the advanced stage of the negotiation with the UK, Canada, and European Union is also there, but that may take us time of a year or so. So European Union is one FTA which is being looked at, which is really eagerly awaited by the exporting community, because European market is a very big market for any Indian product. Next. Despite these constraints, Indian ferroalloy sector is competitive, as reflected in its growth and global share, and shall continue to be one of the leading global player. See, you've been, Lalita were talking about that, Ravi, you were talking about the manganese ore prices. India is not having a high grade of the manganese. India is depending on the high grade of the manganese, import of the manganese ore and the power. So if you see the manganese ore, India has been importing high grade of ore for the decades. It's not that suddenly our reserves have declined and we have to depend on the imports. We have been continuing imports of the high grade of the ore, which is blended with the low grade of the ore locally, and goods are being produced. And we are very competitive. just because of the sudden spike in the electricity prices in this financial year, the effects this ferroalloy sector is suffering very hard. Particularly the units in Andhra Pradesh are the worst sufferer. The DVC in West Bengal has also raised the prices, but in last few months it has again seen a correction in the cost of the power. So the Andhra government really need to review the ways to cut down the cost of the power, either by reduction in the duties of the electricity duty, because that is almost about 1 rupee per unit. So if that can, and Bengal has got a very unique electricity duty. When you are using it in the melting furnace, be the steel or alloy, then it is a 5%. And for the other auxiliary, it is 15%. So there is a, or we can put in other way around that the electricity duty is 15%, but for the melting furnaces, it has been brought down to 5%. So if the Andhra Pradesh government also adopt similar policies, so that will be a big support to the current crisis of the power cost for the Andhra units. The fall in exports in terms of value in 2021-22 is due to a major price correction over the prices of 2021. In terms of the volumes, India has witnessed the growth in exports of fertilizer. So, but if you see, everybody knows that the 21-22 was an exceptional year. But if you see, if you compare our export figures with 1920 or 1819, you'll find that 22-23 is also quite good. So whenever we talk of any data comparison, so we always prefer to remove the 21-22 data. We were virtually, I would say they were the unrealistic figures. It was an opportunity for any industry. So those should be ignored and not considered. And 1819, 1920, the figures, if you compare 22-23, we are in a comfortable position. Since the global economy is passing through tough time, the ferroalloy sector needs some hand-holding support from the government. The sector is equipped to raise its share in the global ferroalloy market with the global support. So whenever there is a crisis or any sector is, any business is passing through some rough weather, so that really needs some sort of an hand-holding. Now here, we are not seeking any hand-holdings in terms of the subsidies or the incentives from the government. Even the due legitimate dues of the sector is also being extended. That will be a big boost to the overall economy of the sector, as I'm referring to the road tap. So if the road tap benefit is extended, that will be a big boost, and that will give a big support to our Indian exports. Definitely, as you have said, the economy is certain global economies are passing through recession or on the verge of going for the recession. Global demand is low. So definitely the steel production is also low. So that has also caused in the lower demand of the ferroalloys. But again, it is a business cycle, and up and down always goes there. And 2-3 months of the lower demand should not be considered as a matter of a very great concern and the caution. Might be that in the next month or two, we again have a better demand from the global market, and India is again back to ferroalloy sector is again back to its full speed. Next. So all this is all about from my side. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. KL, for throwing light on the challenges the manganese alloys industry is facing and for sharing with us the market performance with latest figures. I now invite our second speaker, Mr. Seth, to give his presentation. Over to you, Mr. Seth.
Thank you very much, Lalita. First of all, a great thanks to Steel Mint, Rahul and Lalita for inviting me to this prestigious stage. And I'm very happy to hear Mahesh's thoughts also. And before my presentation, I would like to say that you all are much more experts than me on manganese alloy market. But yes, definitely, since power is a very critical input in your production, therefore, I would like to share some thoughts on how the power prices are being going. What has been the reasons, critical reasons why they are increased so much in the last 1 year. And so with these thoughts, I like to share the presentation, and any questions are welcome. So let me share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So before going into the power, I would like to share, many of you will be aware, but let me just in brief grasp a little about what IEX is. IEX is, as you are aware, is the nationwide automated transparent mechanism where the consumers and the sellers can come do trade on a daily basis, and they can meet their power procurement prices in a very optimal way. So basically, what earlier used to happen, consumers used to have long distribution contracts with their distribution companies or with the generating companies. But after the enactment of the open access in the landmark Electricity Act 2003, it becomes very easy for the industries to choose a generator of their own choice and have a agreement with it. And with the enactment of exchanges in 2008, it becomes furthermore easy that you don't have to enter into any long-term agreement, but you can manage your daily needs, because as Mahesh also told, the demand requirements of the industries are very varying. They depend upon seasons, they depend upon their order. So they don't have to worry for any long-term agreement. They can come to exchange, and it is very similar to NSE, BSE. They can procure power as per their needs to the quantum. And now we also have the flexibility to supply green power also. So many of the consumers in the, because I personally know many steel industries, many ferroalloy industries, they are our regular customers. They come to us specifically for green power because they have green obligations. So we help them also in procurement of green power as well as green certificates. So overall, if you see, IEX is the major player in this industry. We hold more than 99% market share in the spot markets, which is the day-ahead market as well as the real-time market. And overall, in the complete sector, we hold approximately 90% market share. Why the major chunk is coming to IEX? Because of the trust that IEX has garnered over last 15 years. If you see, more than 4,400 industries are our regular customers. And out of these 44 industries, a lot of manganese alloys, iron ore, steel are our part. More than 55 distribution companies are our partners. They come to our platform on a daily basis. So what happens between 10 to 12, I'll explain this in a subsequent slide. Between 10 to 12, all the procurers and the sellers, they come, they submit their bids, and then we apply our software algorithm to discover the market clearing price and market clearing volume of that day. So it is a complete economical equation with taking into picture the demand and the supply constraints. So I'll explain in subsequent slides, but this is just a brief. So if you see, on the IEX, you can trade in multiple products. For example, the integrated day-ahead market, which is the most volatile market which is happening. Let me show you the pointer. Yes, this is the integrated day-ahead market. We started this market in 2008, and we trade approximately 200 million units on a daily basis. If you see, in the general long-term agreements, you have a fixed quantity and a fixed price. But yes, in our platform, a majority of trade is happening on the real time, on the day-ahead basis. So a lot of, and it also includes a lot of volatility. So many a times during the year, it becomes a very opportune cost for the industries to procure power from the exchanges and take benefit of the low cost of prices. Sometimes in the real-time market, prices even go below ₹1 per unit. So industries have to be very cautious, and they have to observe the exchange prices on a daily basis. You can join our LinkedIn, you can follow us on LinkedIn. On that, we regularly post alerts that when the prices are going below basically the price of ₹2, ₹3, ₹1. So we regularly post these alerts. You can have a look at those alerts, and you can plan your procurement timely. So day-ahead market is there. Day-ahead market is basically when you can plan your procurement 1 day in advance. Green day-ahead market, similar to day-ahead market, but yes, here you have the flexibility to procure green market. There is another market also, which is a very vital market, HP dam, which is a high price dam. Suppose any of you has a captive plant, and due to any unforeseen circumstances, you are not able to take power from that captive plant, and then your DISCOM is charging you temporary charges. So in that condition, if you want assured supply, you can also opt for choosing high price dam. It is the green day-ahead market and the day-ahead market are capped at ₹10. But if you want to have a surety of power, you can have HP dam because they are the high price generators like the imported coal-based plants or the gas-based plants or the battery storage plants. They come for sale. After the day-ahead market, our most volatile market is real-time market. There, my friends, it is a very great opportunity for the industries to procure power at a very at a very less price. Suppose rains are happening in Andhra Pradesh. In now this new cyclone is also expected to come in Kerala, in the coast of Karnataka, Gujarat. So demand of these states will gradually go down. But these states have entered into long-term agreements with their generators. So what is the situation? When their demand goes down, they have excess power. They sell this excess power at the exchanges, mainly in the real-time market or the day-ahead market. Then it is an opportunity for the industries to pitch in and procure power. And this is the beauty of energy exchange, the IEX, that you don't have to be a long-term consumer on our platform. You can just simply pay a portfolio fee. It is valid for a year, and then you can plan your procurement anytime during the year. So you don't have to be rigidly in any contract. You don't have any pay or takes obligations like this. Just pay a very nominal fee, come through a trader or be a direct member, and then simply you can plan your procurement anytime as per your requirement. And you can also follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, where we give regular updates about the power prices. So there you can take the real benefit, because Maheshwar has told that how much power prices are critical to your procurement needs. So in this way, you can manage your power procurement in a very optimal way. Then we also have, because industries have varying needs. Sometimes, as I was telling, that the captive generator is not working. So we have the intraday market and the contingency market. Suppose you are not able to procure power in the real-time market or the day-ahead market. You lost the bid, your bid was not placed timely. So there we have the contingency market also, which also runs a day ahead in advance, and intraday market, which is runs on the near time. Now, due to the request mainly by the industries and by the renewable energy generators, we have also launched the term ahead contracts, because at the industries you want to hedge your portfolio, some power from discom, some power from, because I have been in like almost like I have been in consulting, I have been in the trading arm for last 15 years, then in the energy exchange. So many times we advise consumers to have a nice portfolio, some power from the distribution company, some power under the long and medium term contracts, which covers your base load. And then for the peaking load or the critical or basically the varying load, you can rely on exchanges. So some part from the discom and some part under the long and medium term agreement. Many consumers came to us that why don't exchanges start this practice? So on the request by the industries, we have also launched a term ahead contracts where you can procure your power up to 3 months in advance. So you can, and this is the beauty of this platform. There is one platform called Deep, where only discoms can go and request for procurement on a long term. But now in the term ahead contracts on exchanges, even the consumers who are above 1 megawatt, they can come, they can procure power up to 3 months. So this is the beauty of the exchanges that have brought into this term ahead contracts. And here you can procure power, conventional power also, and green power also. Apart from it, I believe many of you would be running the captive power plants, would be taking power under the open access. So, and would be the designated consumers as identified by Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Now, you know, if you are an obligated agency, if you're running a captive power plant, or if you're an open access consumers, you have to fulfill your renewable purchase obligations. So for them, we are running the REC market, the renewable energy certificates market, that suppose if you're not able to take that enough proportion of green power, you have the availability of buying renewable energy certificates from us. And if you are a designated consumer by the BEE, I'm sure not all of you, but the major guzzlers of power would be the designated consumers identified by the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, and you have the obligations to buy some energy saving certificates if you have not meet your target of the energy reduction as identified by the BEE. So for them, for both of the categories of consumers, we have the certificate market. Renewable energy certificates, the trade happens once in a month on last Wednesday. Energy saving certificates, this happens on every Tuesday. Right now we are in PAT 2 cycle. So this was just a brief overview of IEX and the various products. I told you because many of you would be interested in optimizing your portfolio. And with this, you can actually see how you can manage your power needs. Now, this is a snapshot which will be interesting for you, that how the power prices have happened during last 2-3 years and what is the reason why they have spiked in the recent times. As you can see, the green, blue and purple lines, they are basically the lines of FY20, FY21, FY22. You will see the average power of prices was very low, between rupees 2 to 3. FY22 started a spike in the increase of the power. The first spike happened in October. Then subsequently in FY23, you can see the little spikes. In April, the power prices went to 10 rupees. Then in May, 6.76. And this, the average was maintained at the rupees 6. Now in FY24, thankfully, due to the pleasant weather all across the country in May and April, the prices are in the range of 5. But what happened? Why these prices suddenly increased from 3 rupees average to 5 rupees average? It is very important to understand that, because then you can have a very cautious look at the power industry, and you can also think that what are the variables which impact the power prices and when this is going to relax. Let us discuss first about the October incident, where the prices happened more than rupees 8. This was an incident. Generally, August and September are very rainy months. Due to these rains, it also impacts the coal mining. So the coal mining was heavily impacted in October. It was like very abundant rainfall. Sorry, it was very heavy rainfall in August and September, due to which mining was impacted. And it was a time. So like the coal plants in India runs on 2 types of coal. One is the domestic coal, the other is the imported coal. So in October, the domestic coal supply was impacted due to heavy rainfall. Now, there are also about 20 gigawatts of plant in India which runs on imported coal. So you will remember in this duration, in the September 2021, when COVID was there, Australia accused China of spreading the COVID or the pandemic. So the China, which is a great importer, which is the biggest importer of coal, they stopped importing coal from Australia. Now Australia is very like among the huge exporters of coal. So when they disallowed taking coal from Australia, suddenly the imported coal price skyrocketed. Now due to this, the global prices also were very high. The viability at which the distribution companies can procure power from the imported coal-based plants went to haywire, and it was not done. So due to which the supply got very minuscule. Demand was high, supply was not there, and power prices is a complete equation of demand and supply. Remember, it is not a power prices, it's not a technical thing, it is a complete economical thing. When the demand was very huge and when the supply was not there, the power prices rose. But again, due to the interventions by the government, primarily due to the domestic coal was made available to the power sector. They stopped sending coal to some other non-critical sectors, and due to which power prices came to normal. You can see 2.85, 2.92. This purple line reflects the FY22. Now again, when the onset of the year in April 2023, the power prices again went skyrocketed. Why it happened? You will remember FY22-23, April 22, Russia-Ukraine war started. When this Russia-Ukraine war started, Russia, just to like, you should have the knowledge, Russia is the biggest exporter of gas. And last 3-4 years in the European countries, they have stopped generating power from coal and they are much using the gas. When Russia is the greatest exporter of gas, they stopped the export of gas, due to which again the global widespread, there was a huge increase in the prices of imported coal as well as imported gas. Now India has 20 gigawatts of imported coal and 20 gigawatts of imported gas-based supplies. This went for a complete toss. Now the imported coal, imported gas were out of the equation. Then you will say, what happened to the domestic coal? In April, you would also acknowledge that there was a huge jump in the temperature. The whole India was reeling in the high heat, due to which the demand was very high. Now, when the demand was very high and there is no imported coal-based supply, no domestic coal-based supply, then basically again the power prices went very high. It remained for a certain time. You can see this blue graph. Then now prices are stabilized. In fact, we thought that even the government of India was also very worried that what will happen in April, May of FY24, that is April 23 and May 23. But you can see April and May, the prices were very normal. 5 rupees, in fact, it has dropped to 4.74. Why this is happening? Because the weather was very pleasant in April, May. Thankfully, the demand, there were only few incidences when the demands went a little high. But yes, it was very planned by the government of India. You should also acknowledge, and Maheshwar was also telling the government should plan something. The government is taking some precautionary measures at its end that supply should be adequate. They made the arrangements that the domestic coal inventory at all the power stations of state is more than 10 days. NTPC more than 15 days, so that there is abundant supply of domestic coal, as well as they planned various schemes to support the imported coal-based power plants. They said that, okay, we will provide you this subsidy, please come and supply power. So, and also they imported gas. So due to the interventions taken by the government of India, due to the pleasant weather all across India, the power prices were in a very much control. You can see the next slide also. This is basically how the prices are fluctuating. In October 21, I already explained you. Then in April 22, again discussed why this is happening. Now you can see the red bar and the blue bar. Whenever the blue bar is the average sell bid and the red bar is the average buy bid. So whenever this red bar increases the blue bar, the prices are going to increase. And whenever this blue bar is high, that means there is abundant supply, then the prices go down. So this is a complete demand and supply equation. I am explaining you this in detail because you can, as a first of all, you should observe how the prices are happening on exchanges. There only you will be able to make a complete portfolio. See, in May 23, due to the pleasant weather, the prices were all down and supporting the cause. You should understand this damn trading process. What is the process? How you can come to energy exchange, how you can manage your portfolio is very critical for you. See, as an industry, you can come on daily basis, whether your power prices are high or low. What you can do, you can make a bid, a threshold bid. We provide you with a complete bidding platform. You can say, for example, if the distribution company is supplying power you at 7 rupees, then your open access charges are 3 rupees. So if you get the power below 4 rupees, it is very much viable for you. So you place the bid at 380, 390. If the power is getting cleared, okay. Otherwise, you are getting power from your distribution company only. And this is happening day before advance. So you can plan your captive power, your distribution company power. It is in your hand because we are allowing you to bid at our platform 1 day in advance. So 10 to 12 is a bidding period. Then we match 12 to 1. We match, calculate using our algorithm. It's a very complex algorithm made by a team of more than 100 mathematicians. Then they calculate this. They calculate the market clearing price as well as the market clearing volume. They review. Then we send these bids to the NLDC, which is a regional load control center, that if there is a congestion in the system in the Indian grid, thankfully, after the interventions by the government of India, by the power grid, there is no congestion now in the country, and very rarely due to any transmission line outage, it occurs. Otherwise, there is no congestion in the Indian network. So you can very well plan your procure power under open access. And then by 3 o'clock, and we receive the final results, we send it to all the clients. And also by 5:30, we give the confirmation to all the regional load dispatch centers, the state load dispatch centers, that yes, this is the power scheduled under open access on the power exchanges. So I'll just take a minute more to explain you how the model price calculation happens on our algorithm. It might or might not be relevant to you, but yes, it's a very good economical principle. See, this is a buyer behavior. They will like to place bids at much lower price for their requirement of power, and seller's philosophy is a little different. They like to sell when the power price is higher. So this is the intersection point, which is like the both seller and buyer are agreed for this much price, this much volume. So in this case, for example, see, when you are trading at our platform, we will be giving you certain price tags. As I was telling you, suppose 3 rupees is your threshold price. So you can place the bids according to this. You can place the bids at 0 rupees, 1 rupees, 4 rupees, 5 rupees. It is your critical load. Suppose portfolio B, they are even placing your power at the 20 rupees. Sometimes what happens, your captive plant is not working. You have to take power at any cost. Then this is a portfolio C seller. Why I'm indicating in minus? Because this is a sell bid. So both, what happens is we receive under 20 to 12, both the buy bids as well as the sell bids. Then we match it, the total bid quantum received, and then we see at which price tick the complete buy quantum and sell quantum is matching. So if you can see the price tick of 2.5 rupees, 60 is the buy, 60 is the sell. So this is a matching point, and for that day, this becomes the market clearing price and 60 becomes the market clearing volume. So this is a brief presentation from my side. And yes, Mahesh sir was telling about something about the difference between the power supply to the industry as well as the generation cost. So let me throw a brief highlight about this issue also, because we have discussed how the coal prices have behaved, how the why basically the electricity prices were high. So now, as per the, this is very important for you, as per the tariff policy 2006 and 2016, it has been clearly said by the Government of India and the CERC that the power supplied to any category of consumers should be in a band of only plus minus 20%. I agree with Mahesh sir. There is sometimes socialization is done to support the lower category of consumers, the BPL category of consumers. Their tariff is lower and the industrial tariff is a little high. But this gap should be in a band of 20%. If in your case, this band is not met, you are saying that some industries are having the tariff more than 40% of the average cost of supply, then yes, definitely you should approach your state regulator. You should file a petition that why is this happening? Because as per the tariff policy, the maximum band allowed is plus 20% of the average cost of supply, which is being given to the distribution company. So you can take this. And one more important point before I stop here is the new regulation by the Government of India called Green Energy Open Access. You should definitely read about Green Energy Open Access. You have my contact number. I will circulate here that why, how it is beneficial for you. Under the Green Energy Open Access, the government has taken various measures. You will be implied no additional surcharge. The transmission charges are also waived off, in that the interstate transmission charges are also waived off, and the cross subsidy surcharge is also capped. That suppose you take the Green Energy Open Access in 2023 till the period of 12 years, it cannot be increased for more than 50%. So these are the various, because in open access, the biggest game changer is the cross subsidy surcharge and the additional surcharge. These are the two charges which makes the cost unviable for the industrial consumers. So if there is a mechanism to control these two costs, then definitely you should try that Green Energy Open Access. You can try it on captive mode, you can try it under power exchanges, and definitely have the advantage. So with this, I stop my presentation and again pass it on to Lalita or Roshan.
Yeah, thanks for the very relevant perspective, Mr. Seth. Because we have limited time, so I'll quickly jump into the question and answer session, and I request Rahul to take over for the question and answer session. Rahul, please be quick with 2 or 3 questions. We have time limit.
Thank you, Lalita. My question is from Mr. Said. Are there any alternative energy source or any strategy that manganese alloys producers are exploring to reduce their dependence on conventional power and mitigate cost pressures?
Yes, definitely. As I told, now the industries must take use of the Green Energy Open Access.
Yes, sir.
The green, they are getting 2 benefits. First of all, they are procuring green power. They are like making the good cause for the environment. In fact, I have heard, in fact, you will be knowing, the green steel in the Europe, in the international countries, they have the more, they attract a more premium over the normal steel prices. So you can definitely have an advantage of procuring green power. And yes, using it in captive mode is giving you all the more flexibility that your cross subsidy surcharge are also waived off. So you can have this advantage of this. And in the green, there are a lot of technologies, wind, hybrid, solar, newer technologies are coming to the sector. The prices are falling every day. Even we have seen some tenders where the power of solar is less than 2 rupees. So when government is providing you so much incentives, why not take the use of it?
Thank you so much, sir. My next question is for Mr. Kyal. Is there any potential for export volume growth in the short term as foreign market demand is limited? One of our participants has also asked a question like what we are seeing the market of silico manganese in the next 2 years.
See, if you go through the past performance,
Yes, sir.
The export of the manganese or any manganese alloy is always on the rise.
Yes.
So we have seen the turbulence in the past also. So
Okay.
it is a normal phenomenon that the demand and supply always varies. So there's no, I don't find any matter of concern in going forward, or I don't foresee any concern regarding the potential of exports in the coming 2 years. India is a leading global player, and it will continue to be the global player. And I don't think the global import market of fertilizer can sustain or can be active without the India support. So India is a leading supplier and continues to be the leading source of supply. And I'm quite positive and optimistic about the future also.
Okay. Thank you, sir. This question was from PLR Zambia Ltd. Mr. Naveen has asked this question, like, do we see any next 2 years or by 2025, an increase in silicomanganese trend?
So I just like to ask one small thing for Mr. Ravi. So many states in India do not permit the consumer to buy the power from the exchange. For buying the exchange power from the exchange, the state government policy has to be cleared. Without their permission and clearance, the industry cannot buy the power.
I understand this. You know the fact that why this is not allowed. Industries are the major milking cows of the distribution companies. Getting them out of their sources, like, they will also not feel good. But definitely, sir, there are ways like now the green energy open access. Now, after the enactment of the NOR, National Open Access Registry, the distribution companies have to mandatorily provide a reason why they are disallowing open access. And earlier, it is not about only the disallowance, it was also about the viability also. I was telling the cross subsidy surcharge and the additional surcharge. These charges were very high in some of the states, due to which there was a lack of viability. But now on the green energy open access, the additional surcharge is clearly waived off. The cross subsidy is capped. Also, the interstate transmission charges are waived off. So definitely the industries should make use of it and apply on the green open access portal, where it becomes obligatory for the transmission company or the distribution company to provide a reason why they are disallowing open access.
Thank you, sir. Over to you, Lalita.
Yeah, due to time constraints, we have to bring this webinar to a close. This was indeed an insightful session, and we hope you all enjoyed it. A big thank you to Mr. Seth and Mr. KR for taking out time to be with us on this panel discussion, and to our audience for attending this webinar. I thank the Indian Steel Association for supporting the webinar series. A lot more is there for you in the upcoming sessions, so please keep watching. This is your host Lalita signing out along with my co-host Rahul Roshan.